trying to figure out how to make it go for us.
Good morning, Pasha. Is this already streaming live on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll share you the link, sir. Prasad, sir. I'll share you the link.
Dhananjay, is my background okay?
I think you have applied some other background.
This was the background shared by Teresa.
Okay. Is your WhatsApp number
Right,
on?
Yeah.
I can just forward the right background. The background should look like the one which I have.
Sure.
1 minute. I'll just forward that.
Asha?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I'll share the Facebook link also, sir. Dhananjay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait for some time, no?
Dhananjay, sir.
Yes.
Now, this webinar is streaming live in Facebook.
Okay.
Link has been shared in the chat box.
Okay.
I'll send in the WhatsApp also.
Okay.
200 members are registered, sir, as on today.
Okay, very good.
Correct. Mr. Ritesh, have you received the backdrop? I have sent it on your WhatsApp number.
Yeah, I've received Dhananjay. I'm just applying it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Pasha, how do I make panelist as a co-host? What are the settings that I need to change?
Sir, tell me the name, sir.
Mr. Ritesh Singh.
One second. Sir, you put the names in the chat box, sir. I'll check it and make a post.
Okay.
Is the panelist, sir?
Hello. Pardon, I could not hear you.
Ritesh sir is panelist, I think.
Yeah, I'll just write the names here.
Sure, sir. Okay.
I have just typed name of all four of them. Mr. Pasha, could you get the names?
No,
I think I would suggest the panelists to turn on their camera and whether the background is properly applied or not. Yeah.
I think there is some issue with my.
Yes, I think it is properly applied.
Yeah, what about Nagaraj BS? You can able to see the background?
No, right now I'm not able to see that.
See, for in my case, the mirror has been saved. What to do?
backdrop is okay, sir. Fine, sir.
Yeah, it is fine.
No issues.
Anand sir, it is fine, sir. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Nagaraj sir, there is no backdrop and no.
Yeah, your camera looks.
Video is on, camera is on.
No, sir. Your camera is not on, sir. It's on, but I think there is some issues in the camera.
Acha. Choose virtual background it gives. Shall I select it?
Yeah, you can check one, sir.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, morning. I think Mr. Dhananjay, this is Amit. I am logged in through the web browser, so I think that does not give the option to select background. So I think only those standard backgrounds are there.
I think there should be something, some plus sign on which if you click, it should lead you to file browser.
Yeah, I think only issue is the Zoom. I have a laptop that came 3 days ago, a new laptop, but our office is not working today, so that admin access is not there to install the client. I have messaged him just in case if he comes through, fine. Otherwise, just this white background in the office.
Okay. Okay.
Dhananjay, same problem at my end. I'm not able to apply the background what you have said.
Are you not able to browse through the file browser to that location?
Yeah, even I am logging through my browser. Actually, as per my company IT policy, the Zoom is not allowed to be installed. So I've logged in through iPad. So it is taking time to get refreshing photos.
Okay.
The moment it happens, I'll apply the background.
Dhananjay sir,
Hello. Yes.
at present I have stopped the recording. When you start the program, just tell me so that I can start the recording now.
Okay.
How is everyone doing?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning.
Good morning to all.
calling is not answering. Please try later. ನೀವು ಕರೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕರೆಯನ್ನು
Dhananjay, can we start?
Hello. Yes. Yes, Mr. Manjunath, we can start.
Shall I on the recording?
Yes, I think.
I'll do it. I'll do it, sir. Dhananjay sir.
Yeah.
Manjunath sir, shall we start the program, sir?
Yeah, we'll start. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. L.R. Manjunath, Honorary Chairman of Indian Concrete Institute, Bangalore Center. We are in association with Indian Concrete Institute Pune chapter conducting this webinar on water tightness of joints in precast constructions. It's a panel discussion. we all know, dear friends, like Indian Concrete Institute has come out with a handbook on precast concrete technology. That was the first handbook under the leadership of Ramakrishna of L&T. We started that journey. So far, we have published more than 13 handbooks in various topics and subjects. So, very important today is that the panel discussion is going to throw light on the watertightness of joints in precast construction. The reason behind, even though all over the world the precast construction technology has gained a lot of momentum, in India still it's in the infancy stage. We are getting new projects coming under precast construction. Prime Minister housing projects, and also many housing projects of government like Police Housing Corporation, slum clearance board, they all come for precast construction. Many builders like Prestige, Brigade, then Starworth, they are going for precast construction because of the early finish time. The only problem what they are facing is the problem of water leakage in the joints and all. Today we have eminent speakers. Mr. Ritesh Singh, National Business Development Manager, Sealing and Bonding, Sika India. Then we have Amit Barde, Head of Precast Initiative of L&T. Then we have Anand Dinakar Gosavi. He is from Senior Project Consultant from PMC and Engineering LLP. Then we have our own Bangalore person, B.S. Nagaraj, who is an eminent personality in the field of waterproofing and technology from Fosrock. Fosrock is based out of Bangalore, and we have heard him in many lectures. So these are the eminent speakers who are participating in the panel. And also we have more than 200 delegates registered for this. Because wherever we go, they always complain about the issue of water tightness in the precast construction. If this issue is addressed, I believe that precast construction is going to be the future of construction technology because it is faster, economical. Then we have the earthquake resistant design and all. With all that, the importance of precast construction is going to be there in India for future construction. So with that, I'll hand it over to the today moderator, Mr. Dhananjay, to take it forward on the panel discussion. Thank you. I wish the program a grand success.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Manjunath. And today, the main purpose of keeping this as a discussion type of program is because everybody knows something about water tightness, about the type of sealant, about the type of treatment that is needed to be given. But then everybody has got some doubts also. So we thought that it would be better to make it like a panel discussion type of thing wherein we have compiled some of the questions and plus whatever questions if audience have, they can put it in the chat box and we'll try to address those if those are not covered in this program. And plus this event is like one of the programs of the SEMCON series. The SEMCON event is going to happen in December. So this is like a brainstorming type of things in precast field, whatever the latest developments are happening. And whatever things, since there are many people who are going to participate in this program, it did not have any type of common consensus. So whatever differences are there, we can note it down and we can address it in final SEMCON session, which is going to happen in December. So to start with today's session, I would ask Mr. Anand Gosavi to share his experience about what type of developments he has joint water tightness, since he has been involved in this field since last 20-25 years in treating the joints and the type of joint treatment. So, Anand Gosavi, can share your experience.
Yeah, thank you very much. Welcome everybody. Thank you, Dhananjay. When we speak of precast construction joints or water tightness of precast construction joints, generally we look at these things post construction, or maybe we try to tackle the issues arising out of these construction problems many a times after we come up with some problems, or when we design or when we construct, we feel we are delivering a good watertight joint. But I'm a building person, by the way. I've been involved in constructing buildings. So when I say my drawing comes to me, I feel like, yeah, proper ground has been provided. I feel like that the joint design is perfect and it's not going to leak or have some wet spots or anything. And then some certain people come and they say, okay, yeah, there are some wet spots, some leakages have come out in wall-to-wall connections, or maybe beam-to-wall connections, or maybe from column to beam connections, or some certain places. And then we go for some extrinsic repairs, some certain repairs that we apply externally to maybe temporary or to the life of that particular application, what we are doing. You can say service life of a particular polymer material that we are putting, or an epoxy coat, or maybe a denso tape, or whatever. When having worked for so many years, I feel that we should look at these things in a reverse way. In the sense, when we talk of water tightness coming up, I think whenever a design comes, or maybe a constructability approach to be put in designs as well. Are you all able to hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
If the rainy season, the plantation happens quickly, then it gives time for the plants to grow. If you postpone to the summer season, then it's of no use. I think within 1 month, the plantation should happen.
Somebody is interacting. Yeah.
I feel like, let me first put my point, then maybe your questions can be sent to the coordinator, convener, and then we can deliberate on those issues. I'm just putting up the point as to how we should look at the water tightness. Mind it well, there is no ready-made solution at large which can be applied to all the situations, all the issues, all the problems that are arising during or post-construction. Each of these situations is to be dealt separately. Each of the situation is to be dealt considering the problems that we have faced there during construction. So, are you all okay with the things now? Then what I say is, when it comes to, first we have to study the joint. Then we have to study what sort of grout we are using, maybe, or what sort of concrete we are using, and which parts of the joints that concrete, flowable concrete will reach. Most of the times, for the screed grout that we provide on the top of slabs or whatever, is a special SCC, self-compacting concrete. But is it going to the all crevices, all the gaps of the joints, and is that particular joint grout is going to properly seal that? Then what precautions we can take during construction itself to see to it that all these joints which are minor in nature, maybe some certain cases we go for dry erections. So that part of it is to be first studied. That's my point of view. Look at your joints, have your proper shutterings and everything designed in such a manner that all my joints are intrinsically filled with the grout that we are providing. Then next part is, that is during construction I'm talking of. And see to it that your all joints are properly leak-proof. This intrinsic grouts which we are using, in my opinion, to save the cost, if we want to go on a very large scale basis, should be cement based. So that the service life of the grout and the service life of the structure may not match exactly, but they match somewhere nearby. Or maybe there are so many people who are working in the area. I feel like we should have a cement grout who has the service life equal to the service life of my structure, so that these issues can be intrinsically properly addressed by the preventive actions that are taken during construction. Post-construction situations need to be addressed. Again, here it's my personal opinion that whenever we go for some certain external repairs or external remedial solutions for these joints, majority of such solutions should be cement based, so that that particular ground gels properly with the whatever material that is there in the joints. Maybe you can go for some certain additives of non-shrink materials, maybe some certain additive which will enhance the initial setting time so that the ground is flowable and it reaches to all the corners of the joint and my joint becomes watertight. Even then, maybe in first case, you will have a 7 to 10% of the joint creating problems. After you use some certain cementatious grouts, it may reduce to 1 or 2%. And these 1 or 2% of the grouts of the issues can be sorted out by putting up some certain extrinsic solutions like putting up epoxy coatings or something like that, which will externally seal the ingress of water. If this ingress of water, look at it, you cannot have a ready-made solution. Once again, I am repeating. We need to have an inbuilt solution which is a building specific or a bridge specific situation that is there. Totally developing how the joint is, totally checking out how that particular joints will have gap, because we have tolerances in your, when you go for erections, we have tolerances. And if we use all the tolerances, there would always be some gap left between two members. And how to fill that gap before we go ahead after erection to the full grout, or maybe the screws that you are applying, or maybe the in situ concrete that you are pouring in your column course. That is part one. Part two is if you are going for hybrid construction, maybe column beam junctions where your columns are hollow core columns. You have to see to it whether all these hollow cores are properly grouted or not, or whether the concrete that you are putting in has reached to all areas or not, because at junctions there will be lot of congestion of reinforcement. So we have to cater these things to avoid the ingress of water after a particular commodity is put to use. That's the way I look at it. I don't look at it doing some certain work or some certain remedial measure after the particular building is constructed and is put to use. So I think everybody is now aware of constructability approach. During the design phase itself, inputs from all the, you can say in big words, stakeholders can be taken, and the issues can be addressed by taking preventive measures. That's it from my side.
Okay. So I think now that was a generalized idea about how to tackle the joints in general. Now, if we start talking about more specific, my question is to Mr. Ritesh Singh that if we talk about a vertical joint between two panels, I will just try to share my screen to explain like which situation I am talking about. And then we will ask him what type of solution is expected on that type of situation. Is the screen visible now?
Yeah.
Yes, Dhananji, the screen is visible.
Yeah, what happens is like if this is a wall-to-wall vertical joint, which is
Yeah.
like more like a blue box type of joint in which there is one external side, one internal side, and we want to apply sealant on the external face of this joint. So what I have done is I have taken one explanation from Sika material. So basically, are you able to see this thing like preventing three-side adhesion and trying to have adhesion on two sides?
Yes, Dhananjay, I'm able to see the screen. Yeah.
So basically, what is more important is to have a sort of bond breaker between the back of the joint and to have a sealant connection on the two adjacent edges of a wall, because this 25% and 5% this expandability of the sealant happens like that, no? So, can you throw more light on this?
Yes. Dhananjay, I would like to say we just have to come about those thinking that we have to fill this cavity. Okay. First of all, what I feel, okay, this topic is very close to my heart because there's a general perception in the industry that the precast structure leaks and that onus is on us to remove this perception. Okay. As rightly said by Anand, actually the sealant should be thought at the design itself. We need to see what type of joint we need to have, whether to have a flush joint, whether to have a recess joint. In case if you're having a flush joint, then it will be not so durable. It will be exposed to UV light and it will deteriorate quite fast. Better to have a recess joints. Okay, that is the first aspect. Then the geometry of the joint sealant, that even gets ignored. Okay, we all know, okay, 2:1 is the standard ratio. Why 2:1? Okay, and then at the side we don't get the proper depth. Okay, and the sealant is just applied in a like a coating. Okay, so as you showed in the picture, that is a mandatory. Okay, we need to have adequate depth and width. Okay, that will actually play an important role in reducing its stresses in sealant and enhance its durability. If we have third side adhesion, then there would be a chances of cohesive failure. The stresses would be on all the three sides, and you're reducing the life of the sealant.
Yeah. So, adding to Mr. Ritesh Singh, the selection of right sealant is also one of the important criteria. And over and above, where the sealant application, whether the sealant application is above ground or below ground, is also one of the criteria. Suppose if the sealant application is below ground, even though we may treat the joint with a sealant properly with a sealant, but even your precast segment with a good quality construction, even then there could be chances of water ingressing through the panels, the precast panels. So we need to ensure that the sealant is covered with a elastomeric tape. Then the entire the precast element, which is below ground level, has to be made watertight by proper selection of waterproofing system. That is also one of the important criteria. Most of the time, even below ground construction, there are various locations which we come across. One is your wall-to-wall joint. Second one is your the foundation to the floor slab joint, where a combination of cast in situ concrete and a precast construction we do. These joints are very, very vulnerable for leakages. We should not only look at the selection of a proper sealant, we should also look at making an envelope as far as below ground is concerned. A waterproof envelope for the entire below ground structure is also very, very important, because your precast construction, your concrete is directly exposed to the soil. There could be the water table could be very high, and there could be the ground salts and chemicals which are there in the water, which can affect the durability of the concrete. To summarize, what I want to say is only treatment of the joints with a sealant do not suffice the requirement as far as below ground waterproofing is concerned. We also need to look at an proper epoxy bonding agent between your precast and the cast in situ concrete to make that joint watertight. That is one thing. Second thing is selection of a proper elastomeric tape over the sealant to accommodate as a second line of defense. Third thing is your entire basement raft as well as the retaining wall also needs to be made watertight by applying a suitable waterproof coating to the entire structure. So if we can do this, then we can say the entire below ground construction is watertight. So that is the approach we should consider as far as below ground precast construction is considered.
Again, to add to the Nagraj point, some technical parameters also need to be taken into consideration in selecting a sealant.
Yeah.
percentage elongation, okay, would be misnomer. Some sealant would be having 800% elongation, some would be 400% elongation. So it would not mean that 800% elongation sealant would be better. Okay. Then the elastic recovery of sealant, and the most important is MF, moment accommodation factor of the sealant. If the moment accommodation factor is required around 25 and you select a sealant having a moment accommodation factor of 12.5, so you are inviting a trouble and you see both cohesive and adhesion failure happening very soon. Okay, then third is your tear strength. Okay, now here the chemistry plays very important role. What type of sealant you see? Okay, you have plenty of chemistry available from latex, acrylic, polysulfide, silicon, MS. Okay, but here the tear strength of this chemistry is totally different. And when it comes to the corners, and when the stresses develop, then the chemistry of the sealant has a bearing on the durability of the sealant.
Okay. So out of these type of sealants which are available in market, like you just mentioned silicone sealant or PU sealant or other type of sealant. Generally, people tend to use PU sealants more in building industry. So is there any reason behind that?
Janani, can you repeat? Your voice is not audible then.
Okay. I mean to say there are different type of sealants available in market, like silicone sealant or PU sealants and polysulfide sealant. So in building industry, mostly people are opting for PU sealants. So is the weather durability aspect or any other aspect behind this selection, or what are the criteria?
Yeah, see, Dhananjay, there is a trade-off. Okay, when you consider the life expectancy, chemistry-wise, okay, silicon has a better life expectancy. Okay, because it's inorganic. Okay, so its life expectancy is better, but then it has got some drawback. Tear strength of silicon is very less, and then it is not paintable. Okay, then the polysulfide, okay, the show hardness is very less, and then again the tear strength is 1/4 of PU sealant. Then PU sealant, it's quite durable. Okay, its life expectancy is bit less compared to the silicon, but when it comes to tear strength, then when it comes to retaining its elastic property, it's by far better than other chemistry, and it's paintable. At now you have a polyethylene sealant which is bubble free, so that is a feature for that is a high end chemistry that we can think for the precast construction.
Yeah, adding to Mr. Ritesh, as far as PU sealant is concerned, the paintable and the life expectancy from the past history, if you look at the life expectancy of polyurethane sealant is very, very high, and it is a UV stable material. It can also be painted. So, and it is a single component. PU sealant is a single component compared to your polysulfide. Compared to polysulfide is a two component. So any two component, if there is a mixing, if there is an improper mixing, can lead to the performance issues. So single component polyurethane is always better and is a proven product as far as precast construction is concerned. And moreover, it is UV resistance. The life expectancy is more than 10 years, we can say.
I think I would like to get more views on this from Amit Bhatt, since he has been involved in selection of the material as well as implementation of the material and then maintenance of those things. So, Mr. Amit Bhatt, what is your thought about the type of sealant which has to be used for treating the vertical joints of wall panel to wall panel?
Yeah, hi, good morning, everybody. I think you can hear me well, right?
Yes,
I have not
yes.
spoken
Yeah.
before. I think before I answer your question on sealant, based on whatever discussions we've had so far, I had a couple of points to maybe channelize this discussion and see where we go. First, I think the topic name today itself is water tightness. And if We have been doing this for last now 9 years in India. And the kind of detailing we are doing, the kind of products that are available now, a lot of sealant and people are here. I think as an industry, if we are saying that precast is going to be the way future and precast is going to be adopted at a large scale, we should be comfortable where now we should be saying that only moisture and seepage, it's not water and leakage anymore in precast. Right, we've come far away from that 8 years ago when we started into precast, especially for residential sector. We were dealing with water tightness, we were dealing with leakages. Today, what kind of detailing we have, the products we are using, I am confident where I'm just dealing with moisture and seepage. So that understanding has to come. I think there are 100 people here interested, and somehow we are still, when it comes to precast, every discussion starts at water and saying, oh, it's going to leak. And it's not the case anymore. The precast is not leaking. If you do the detailing, I think Mr. Gosavi mentioned earlier that you start at design. That is very key. If you are doing precast, you have to start there. Precast concrete is extremely less forgiving compared to conventional concrete. If you don't detail it well, it's going to show up. So broadly, if you are, again and again, I would like to stress, if you are seeing water issues, leakages issues, then something is wrong in detailing. Start looking there. Coming to moisture and seepages now, a lot of times there is a tendency in the industry so far that just see outside what others are doing and let's do that. And I actually, in fact, I came with that mindset here 10 years ago, saying I'm going to bring whatever I've seen 10 years in the US industry, use it here and change the way Indian industry works. And then that copy paste doesn't work. In 6 months, I figured that out quickly. The kind of situations what we are seeing here are extremely different than what the outside industry uses. For example, sealant. If you see the US or European industry, sealant is their primary mechanism of defense against water moisture, right? There is nothing else in that joint except sealant. And that's how they use the really high quality sealants, and they have been working really, really well for last 40 years, right? There is water leakage in precast joints. In my 10 years experience in US was not a primary concern. It used to be only a maintenance concern, and they are having open joints. There is nothing else except the sealant which works, right? So sealant, PU sealant works. We discussed, I think Ritesh mentioned about silicon doesn't work. Of course, we don't want to get there. Polysulfide is not there. PU is probably by far the most widely accepted choice here. We discuss about life. Yeah. Now, what about life? Again, that industry misconception is okay, because my concrete has to be there for 50 years, everything gets judged against 50 years of concrete, right? So if you ask me that, give me a sealant joint that lasts for 50 years, then that's a wrong question to start with. That 50 years of life, if you see by code, one is Indian codes don't have any specific requirement. It has come from a wind code where it says the 50 years of return period, so everybody follows that 50 years of life. But that is not a wrong life to expect from structure. There are European or British courts now, they are even asking 100 years of life. But what we need to figure out, that life is for non-replaceable material. So the concrete poured has to stay there for 50 years or 100 years is a different story than a sealant which is applied externally, which is expected to be maintained, which can be easily replaced. It's unfair to ask 50 years of life, right? Even if they're saying 10 years, that is plenty. You deal your buildings, you detail your buildings. If you see European contracts, the contracts will have the 10 years maintenance built in, saying every 10 years I'm going to come and I'm going to replace or I'm going to treat this. Now, the same thing may not be applicable directly for Indian buildings because it's difficult to do sealant replacement for a 30 story tall building, right? It's not that easy there. It's a 5 level, 7 level, 10 level structure. Now, that expectation, that specification has to be built in when you start that design stage. Don't expect 50 years life on the sealant and increase your cost, right? Whatever studies we have done, there is one British company which is willing to give me 30 years of life at 3 times the cost. I'm not going to do that. It's not worth doing it. Now, coming back to my Indian discussion, the kind of detailing that we are doing, there are 4 lines of defense. I am not relying only on the sealant. So I don't really want that long life, no maintenance free thing. I am going to do a proper sealant, count it as my first line of defense, and it works well. Whatever the 10%, 15% issues that we'll see, and we have had a various range of issues from not having the skilled applicator. The failure is right there where the sealant is not applied the way it's supposed to be applied. It has to stick on the 2 sides. It sticks on the 3 sides, and it's all gone. Then somebody tampering with the sealants just because it's there, somebody standing pay maintenance and makes a large void, and then it doesn't work. Birds eating, we have had that question also. I have not seen it myself, but it comes at least 2-3 times for somewhere else saying the pigeons are eating that, it gets damaged. All these issues can be resolved using your visual observations, right? You are having glass facade gets maintained every 6 months, usually more nowadays. In that only you have to look at that sealant joint visual. If it's going to show up, if there is an issue, you replace it, you repair it. But more than that, after that first line of defense, the way we are detailing the buildings now, there is grout behind this, there is another waterproofing treatment behind this, there is joints, shapes and sizes are there. I have at least 5 lines of defenses, and that's the confidence where I'm standing here on this stage and saying I am not worried about water leakages, I'm just worried about the moisture seepage. So you have to look at it that way and select the products, but make sure in the design itself you are not relying on only one thing, and that's not going to work. You have to have your 3 or 4 lines of defenses.
Okay.
I fully agree with Mr. Amit that it starts from detailing to execution, wherein the leakages can be fully curbed by a proper grouting of joints, proper concreting of joints, detailing and concreting of joints. Extrinsic repairs can be just an addition to my details. Because in Indian scenario, if you look at the cost impact of these external sealants being applied and PU coatings and all those things, the cost is so high, maybe initially we will be able to do it. But in due course of maintenance, the pattern with which we people are maintaining our buildings, the society members may not be willing to contribute to the higher maintenance costs that may arise. So whatever we want to do, we should do our buildings leak-proof during the construction itself. Thank you, Amit.
Okay. Mr. Amit, can you just elaborate it a bit more about your 4-5 stages of defense which you try to create in your joints?
Yeah, so like I said, of those 5-4, depending on what kind of structure you have, right? So the next step would be, if you have a residential building, it needs extremely different specific detailing against water tightness or these leakages, right? That's probably one of the biggest beast that I have to deal with, because there is active water usage. Now you have a commercial building, and then your detailing is going to at least be 2 or 3 notches below what you will do for residential construction. There is no active usage. Usually the precast components that are used are not even seeing directly external water. You have glass facade, or maybe I have precast facade now. So my take on commercial building detailing is drastically different. Then it's facade. Facade panels we are doing now, it's picking up, especially architectural facade now. That becomes your primary level of defense. You deal with that there. That facade actually is something that comes really close to what your Western countries or US is doing in that detailing, where we are looking at open joints now instead of grouted joints, because grouting takes time, right? We are spending this entire precast thing or initiative has been to improve the construction speed. If you see outside world, again, these grouted joints, emulative detailing itself is in the past. Nobody is using that. People are using welded and bolted connections where the joints have to be open. So in residential, I have, like I think we discussed, I have grout. This branching non-metallic grout itself is a line of defense on its own, right? We have completed buildings which are standing there for now past 4 years without any sealant. Residential building, because I relied on the grout, I had additional cementitious grout instead of sealant because we wanted to experiment that. And one of the issue was the life was questioned. So the client said, no, I'm not willing to go with sealant because I don't have 50 years life. So we said, okay, then we will work it out without the sealant. And those buildings are standing there, but extreme efforts were needed, which I would have avoided at least 40% of efforts if the sealant was there. But that grout, cementitious grout, then we are doing internal treatment. Now internal treatment, from our management perspective, if you look at, usually the tendencies between two flats you will treat the joints. Here the guideline is, even within two rooms there should not be any moisture seepage. So even from your kitchen to your living room, even if it's your own flat, there should not be any moisture seepage. So that's how we are treating the joints, that extra care is being taken. There are products available now, elastomeric or even the latex based products that can be easily mixed with cementitious products, and joints could be treated, and they work well. Again, I wouldn't say 100%, because again and again I would like to stress here is, we are not building water tanks, but the detailing that I am using is literally as good as building a water tank, right? 5% of the flats we are flooding with 1-inch water for 6 hours, and making sure that the joints don't show any seepages. So that, to that level we are doing the detailing, and the detailing options are available. There are no magic products, it's just engineering, design and detailing of the joints, and that works well. So in fact, we had these internal discussions, and I was talking to somebody, and this old proverb that the devil is in the detail, what we call now inside is that moisture is in the detail. If you don't detail it well, that joint is going to show, and that moisture is going to show. But if I have to put a broad data, in 2012-14 time periods, what buildings we did, and we were seeing these seepage issues or leakages issues about 10% of the locations. We have brought it down now to just under 1%. So that's how we have evolved over the last 8 years. That's what the confidence we are taking now. Large projects that management is allowing it to take up using precast construction.
There was one question related to the usage of grouts only for joints and not using the sealants. So how do you take care of the movement of joints, like grouts being a brittle material? How does they suffice the purpose of joint movement?
Right. So again, I'll come back to design principles and design philosophy. The moment I introduce joint or grout in the joint, then my joint is not expected to move at all anymore. The whole movement, what we discuss, and using sealant and the expansion of sealant and 800% and 200%, is where, if you are using the Western philosophy, where there is nothing else in the joint. So imagine you have two panels that have welded spot connections, and those are going to move on their own because of the temperature variations, because only two little hinges are holding them together. In my grouted joints, we have a reinforcement across. These are working as good as a monolithic joint. They are not going to move as much as an open joint will move. So I'm not putting the sealant there at all because of the expansion. I'm just putting the sealant for water entry. I'm okay even if the sealant doesn't expand 800% there. That's how you have to judiciously choose it. Now, how do you make sure that the joint is monolithic? Is that emulative detailing. Then you go back to your design principles. It's as good as doing a temperature analysis on an expansion joint and providing steel, equivalent steel. If it's there, that joint has capacity where it's not going to expand or move. Then I'm not worried about the movement as much. Now the joints shrink. So that's where it's critical to know what kind of grout you are going to use. It has to be by default this non-shrink, non-metallic joint, which will expand and which will allow these hairline cracks won't be there, so that it will work. On its own, again, 100% is it going to work? Mostly not, because even if on paper it works, it's extremely difficult to get that QA/QC at site to make sure that the joints or grout, the grout is reaching 100% everywhere and performing well. But in our experience, 95% plus it is working well. Then your other lines of defense are going to help you.
Yeah, adding to Mr. Amit Bade, the selection of grout is very, very important. Nowadays, what we are doing is we select a free flow grout, and normally we provide a shuttering at the precast between panel to panel joints. We provide a shuttering and we pour the free flow grout. This selection of grout is very, very important. One is it should be dual shrinkage compensated. The strength of the grout has to be in line with the strength of the precast elements. And third thing, it should be easily pumpable, and it should have a very good shear strength and bond strength to become a monolithic. When it is pumped into the gaps, it should be monolithic. It should have a monolithic behavior with the precast panels. So that is more important. So what I mean to say is, instead of a free flow grout, you can select a grout with a mortar consistency still pumpable. So where you are finishing and the chances of loss of the grout through the shuttering and can be avoided, and your work progress can also add to this. It can enhance the work progress. Selection of grout is very, very important.
Yeah, right. I think what we are using by default now is non-shrink for this, of course, expansive properties, non-metallic to avoid any, because we have precast dowels and all involved to any corrosion. Flowable, depending on what the joint width and all is, what the grouted tube diameters are. And then lastly, high strength. So even if you see now IS 11447, it specifies that the grout has to be at least 1 grade higher than your parent concrete in precast construction. So usually I'm using at the max M50. So all our grouts that we use for the joints are M55 and above.
Okay. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Ritesh Singh, what is the what is the standard method of treating these joints? Like, what is your expected way of treating the joints, the way you envisage that it should happen like this? Theoretically, that this should be the method which generally should be applied for treating the joint. Say a vertical joint between two panels.
Yeah. Dhananjay, usually in India, we have face sealed one stage joint, which Amit said. Okay. How it is treated? Okay. We have a codes, British Standards codes, which details, which elaborates on the workmanship that is expected at the site. For example, BS 8000 part 16. So they have very exhaustive detail how the surface preparation has to be done. Okay, then about the backer rod. Okay, then you have a closed cell, you have open cell, then you have back shear. Okay, for example, even if you're choosing a right backer rod, for example, a closed cell backer rod, if you're not using a proper backer rod roller and you're using a sharp object, and if it punches the backer rod, the outgassing from the backer rod would be for hours or maybe days, and this would lead to a bubble formation. Okay. This is the one of the important thing. Then the primer, if it is required, okay, it has to be properly applied, and then one has to wait for the flush of time, for the solvent to evaporate, and then the sealant has to be applied. So here the knowledge of an applicator is very much important. Okay. Unfortunately, we have very trained sealant applicator, okay, doing this job. Okay. And then the proper caulking gun. Okay, usually they go for a caulking gun which is available at the rate less than 1,000 rupees. So I would suggest for high-rise building, one need to invest in go for battery-operated gun. Okay, or high-speed, high-gear ratio guns. Okay, which should make the job quite easy for the applicator doing the sealant application, which would ensure there is no air entrap when he's doing the sealant application job. Okay, then how the finishing is done, what is the tooling agent. So all this detail is given in this BS 8000 part 16. So if the people or the applicator is aware of those things, then definitely to help. This is related to the workmanship of the sealant.
So in this case, how important you feel like there should be some bond breaker while treating these vertical joints? Because sometimes even I also observed that the bond breakers are not given that much importance, and sealant is sticking to the three sides.
That is the primary thing actually. That is the basic. The bond breaker has to be there. Either tape or the backer rod, that has to be there. Whether it is for the precast joint or whether it is for the road or for the matter expansion joint. So that is the basic of the sealant application. That goes without saying. But there are many things which happens in the precast. The sealant application in precast and sealant application in the rigid payments is totally different, Paul. It's chalk and cheese application. Okay, so sealant applicator doing the road filling job, he won't be fit for the precast application job.
I think Mr. Anand Goswami wants to add something on this.
I'm coming back to square one again. Whenever it comes to sealants or it comes to breaking the joints of bond, whatever it is, baker rod, okay, baker rod is to be used properly and all. But I still go back to what Mr. Amit was stressing upon in Indian industry. Is should we use sealants or should we not at the initial stages? That's my again question, which I again want to address with this thing. The way Mr. Amit has properly put in, and the way we are detailing and we are avoiding the seepages, as the way he rightly said, the seepages or moisture issues have been reduced a lot in most of our buildings by proper detailing and routing of joints. So should we really use sealants or should we look at Indian industry, its requirements and change ourselves as an industry to make our products suitable to our needs? Is it a need of the day or not is my question, because we are addressing, as he rightly said, we are bringing up something from outside and putting in our industry. Because mass scale that we are producing, I don't think European countries are producing precast in that mass scale. Everybody is talking of 10,000 houses, 15,000 houses, 5,000 houses. They have to make something which is sustainable there. And that is my, urge to these guys. Come up with some solutions which can be very readily, easily used in our industry. That's it. Yeah, Mr. Ritesh.
Yes, Mr. Shrikant.
Actually, his point is that can we do away with the joint, do away with the sealers and just use the grout to make the joints watertight, basically. That is his point.
I would say the cement would be must, not because I'm from the manufacturing side and I'm advocating it, I'm blowing my own trumpet, but even the Amit had his experience in US, where in other countries they just have a sealant and that lasts for 20 years. Okay, because when you're looking for monolithic joints, okay, definitely the grout would suffice. But where you have a movement expected, hands down sealant is must, and that should not be ignored.
Yeah, I think I would like to add one point here. When I said, of course, I think we can do away with sealant, do the detailing that way. Having said that, again, I'll come back to my original proposition that you cannot rely only on one line of defense. So the housing projects where we are doing like the risk where it is significantly more. For example, I'm doing now currently we're constructing 7,000 houses projects. I have sealant on that, but I am not relying only on the sealant. I have another 3 options there. We are putting that extra effort. We have different specifications. Like I said, we are trying to build water tanks. So it's like plan for the best and then plan for the worst and hope for the best, that kind of a deal. So I'm not saying that, okay, we can or we should not use sealants, but that judicious usage should be there, right? I might be okay with 200% expansion if the joint is grouted. I don't need 800% expansion. I don't need 50 years of life out of that sealant. It's unfair to expect that that kind of life from a sealant. You can't justify the costs associated with it. So that expectation, if I think these 100 people in the room are can set up with that, so we don't have to force things because we are using precast, right? The final design should be performance based. You give me buildings with 1% less, 1% or less leakages, I am good, right? You tell today's age, anybody who's building RCC construction, if that would give guarantee of less than 2% leakages. It doesn't happen, right? I am not in precast business. I am building 95% of the other buildings in RCC constructions. And if I have to put a example, most of these places, let's just stick to residential where the water is talked about a lot more. Bathrooms and toilet areas leakages. At least 20% areas have issues, right? It's kind of expected saying, oh, bathroom, then additional waterproofing, do it and then make sure work with it and go ahead with it. The first project that we built in 2012 had 2000 units. It was for a SRA job in Mumbai, and we had this 10% joint leakages. But out of those 2000 flats which had 2000 toilets, not a single toilet slab leaked, right? That's the advantage of your factory produced high strength concrete. I had not a single slab had a slab leakages at the bottom. The joints, we had issues that we were addressing, but all 2000 toilets, the slabs did not leak. So this thing is working actually better. That advantage is what we say factory produced concrete, controlled environment concrete. It actually works, where we are now looking at doing these toilet baths without any waterproofing, right? Just put good M50 concrete, treat your joints and move forward. That kind of approach we are looking at it. We are ponding these without waterproofing and they work well. Whether we adopt it or not, whether client will be willing to do that or not, I don't know. But this factory produced concrete, properly vibrated, flowable concrete, doesn't need even waterproofing when we pond water for 2 hours. So you have to change your mindset and then take it from there.
Yeah. So if you ask me, there should be a holistic approach. As it is a precast construction. Any leakage through the structure, our main attention is diverted to the joints only. But it is not the case. We need to have a complete holistic approach. Suppose, for example, if any one area, if I wanted to take and explain our approach, suppose, for example, if it is a roof slab or a podium slab. So if podium slab, panel to panel joint filling with a proper bedding matter is one thing. Second thing is, if any cast in situ and precast joints are there, selection of a suitable structural grade epoxy bonding agent is second thing. Third thing is that when you do the grouting, then you will grouting between the panels, then you will go for a screed concrete on top of that. Then that screed being a large area, you are putting a screed concrete, the screed is tend to crack again. Then how we are going to use that podium slab is also one of the criteria. If you are going to use the podium slab for a landscaping, then definitely a suitable waterproofing system has to be there on top of the screed concrete. Then on top of the waterproofing system, you have to go for one separation layer, then a protection screed. So this is how we need to approach as far as the waterproofing is concerned. Now, the selection of material for each of these areas is also very, very important. Grouting between the joints, already we have discussed what are the requirements. Epoxy bonding agent, the structural grade epoxy bonding agent has to be used. Now, coming to selection of waterproofing system, then how we are going to use the podium slab play a very important role. If you are planning for a landscape, then the waterproofing system needs to have a root resistance, chemical resistance, and the life expectancy has to be very, very high. At least we have now the systems like polyurea, which can give a life of minimum 20, 25 years, 50 years, proven life they can provide. So selection of such waterproofing system is very, very important, because once you do the landscaping and you complete when you hand it over to operation, if something goes leakage, it's very difficult to remove the overlay and redo the waterproofing. So like selection of waterproofing is very, very important. Then one more layer of protection screed on top of the waterproofing layer to protect it from mechanical abuses or while usage of the podium slab is very, very important. And again, when you put a screed, you cut the control joints, fill it up with a sealant. So like this, there should be a systematic approach, include starting from the detailing to selection of material and the overall system built up. Then only we can get a proper complete solution as far as precast construction is concerned. Otherwise, now if these problems will definitely any problems post construction will lose the confidence in the precast construction. So that we need to tackle right at this moment, because the demand for precast construction is growing up day by day. It is high time that we address all these issues with a holistic approach for water tightness. That is one area. Like basement, again, basement specific, we need to look at all the jointing details, then a complete envelope of the structure, preventing it from direct contact with the soil has to be taken care, and it has to be protected with a proper protection board before backfilling. So these are all some of the key things which we can totally eliminate the leakages through precast construction.
Okay. So, from your point of view, Mr. Nagaraj, what should be the essential steps that we should follow to ensure that we get the expected life of water treatment? Say, what should be the life of this water treatment, waterproofing treatment which we are giving? Say, suppose
It should be durable. If you ask me, it should be durable. That is one thing. Second thing is on how we are going to use. Suppose if it is a below ground structure, then we need to have a complete detail. What is the water table in that? Because any concrete, even though it is a precast construction, the panels are cast with a very strict quality control. But even then, concrete, even though precast, even though high grade of concrete, it is permeable. If it comes in contact with water over a long period of time, because of the voids in the concrete, definitely the dampness or seepages is tend to happen in any precast construction. So particular project requirement. For example, if the basement, what is the depth of how many basements we are planning? What is the depth of water table there? And what is there any ground salts and chemicals which are there in the groundwater needs to be taken into consideration. Then all your detailing has to be proper in the sense any joint between precast and cast in situ has to be addressed properly. The precast panel, selection of grout has to be very, very important. Then sealing with a proper sealant, polyurethane sealant, of course, is widely accepted. We can go for a polyurethane sealant. Then while installing the polyurethane sealant also, the proper cleaning of the grooves, then selection of a proper width and the depth ratio, then covering it with a elastomeric tape if it is a below ground, then covering entire the precast panel below ground with a suitable waterproofing system. Either you can go for polyurea based waterproofing systems which are chemical resistance, which can take very high hydrostatic pressure, and the life expectancy is proven for any polyurea system. The life expectancy has proven in excess of 25 years. In an exposed condition, when it is protected with a proper protection board, unless if there is a physical damage, they're not going to deteriorate. This waterproofing system should not deteriorate over a period of time. So that is the kind of waterproofing system we need to select to get the desired life expectancy of the water tightness. Polyurea would be one of the best system if you ask me for precast construction. It has got a very good elongation properties. It can flexible to accommodate the movements. Very good high puncture resistance, tear resistance, good bond with the concrete, and chemical resistance. Most of all, the life expectancy is very, very high compared to any other liquid applied systems, spray applied systems which are available at present in the market.
Okay. Mr. Amit, what is your opinion about the defect liability period whenever you give any contracts or whenever you award any waterproofing type of sealant or any type of waterproofing that you have? So what should be the defect liability period for this waterproofing?
Yeah, traditionally we have been dealing with 2 years, but large houses, the one that I just mentioned, we are doing, the tender itself calls for a 10-year and we are satisfying that. So it really depends on client to client and then how much risk and how much cost you built into it.
Okay, because once the project is handed over, then we need to have some SOP also given to the buyer or the owners so that they know that after this much of time, the defect liability period of this joints or whatever the waterproofing is done. So, is there anything like this you meant to say after the defectability period is over, they need to redo the joints or something like that, or how it should be?
Yeah, so I think as far as the society and maintenance teams are concerned, the joints, the way we are designing it with that 50-year life in mind, they don't have to do anything particular apart from visual checks. I would recommend probably every 6 months, if not every 6 months, at least every year. And that is the thing that we are telling our client. We don't usually deal directly with the end user or societies as a contractor, but when our SOPs, when we hand over the project that goes to client, this is what is noted, that visual inspections should be done. And it is becoming mainstream now. Let's say your commercial building, now my office building is here, and I see the glass facade maintenance every month. Like, those people are hanging outside and cleaning and checking. We wouldn't say residential every month would happen, but at least every year. And as long as, like I had earlier also mentioned, if it's nothing visible, then probably everything is going per your plan and design. You don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. Moment you start seeing something and then you don't address it quickly, it deteriorates much faster. So that address or attention just has to be provided.
Here I would like to also add more particularly regarding defect liability. Defect liability is okay, but defect liability stands if the structure is not tempered. So when it comes up precast constructions, a contractor or a constructor is supposed to give a do's and don't list to the end user, and take an undertaking from them that a particular technology warrants some such things. And if these things are followed, then my guarantee or my defect liability stands. But if a tampering to these things is done or some certain internal changes are vehemently done, which is a normal practice, more particularly in Mumbai, the defect liability or warranty would not stand. So a list of do's and don'ts when you are using some intricate technology or some certain new thing that is not well accepted by the public, I have to be very particular. I have to hand over a list, A, to my client, B, to my end user if possible, as these are the things which are to be strictly followed as an SOP. Of course, laid apart these precast joints and all, I have to give my waterproofing guarantees of 7 and 10 years for toilets and terraces. That's a different issue. But again, that warranty would stand as long as the structure is not tempered or my joints are not. So do's and don'ts, more particularly when you are using something unconventional, they are to be given to the end user. And end user are also supposed to follow those things.
So, Mr. Ritesh, there is also one question related to the minimum thickness of the sealants that we put in the joint. There is a question about what should be the minimum thickness of that sealant which gets applied on the joint, and for how much time it will be effective. With what would be the defect liability period of that sealant?
See, the nominal thickness what we encounter in the side or width is 20 and the depth is 10. Okay. Now, it is not that this thickness would wear off after every year as such. Okay. See, one point I would like to highlight with regard to SOP, that is BS 6093 code. Okay. Now that they have referred that one need to inspect the expansion joint after first year, and after every 1/5 of the expected service life, the joint has to be inspected. So that can become a benchmark for your SOP with regard to maintenance of the joint.
So, is there any Indian code which mentions about the sealant specification, or we have to just refer to the BS codes for that?
Sadly, unfortunately, Indian code is silent on that aspect, but you have a National Building Code of Hong Kong, where they have specified the expected service life, and the British Standards Code, they have given the SOP. Okay, what has to be inspected at what time.
So generally, what should be the life of the sealant? Say 20 years, 15 years, or something like that. After which they need to be replaced or something like that.
Yeah. So there are two codes which is giving the life expectancy of the sealant. One is BS 6093 and your Hong Kong code, where they have specified the life expectancy of all the chemistry, right from the that is field applied sealant, that is a liquid or the paste-like material which goes into the sealant, and even for the preformed material, that can be your compression seal, that can be your baffles, that can be a neoprene, that can be your this foam, that is a open foam treated with some hydrophobic material, and where the life expectancy is more than 30-40 years.
Okay. Can you give some budgetary idea about what could be the general cost of a sealant? Say if we go for uh, water tightness using the sealant. Suppose we go for 1 meter straight of a sealant joint, then what should be the ballpark type of cost of the sealant that gets involved?
See, the cost would depend upon the dimension of the sealant. Okay, considering standard dimension about 20 by 10. Okay,
Yeah.
the material cost would be around less than 100 rupees a running meter. Okay, that is only for the material part, and then the application part would play an important role. I would also like to highlight, also include the cost of checking after the application. At many sites, they don't do the testing. Okay, there are some codes which specify how the sealant has to be tested against what water pressure. Okay, so if that cost is built in, okay, then definitely you have a peace of mind. When you're doing this terrace waterproofing, you do the ponding, but do we test the sealant after application and what pressure? Okay, so if you are including that cost, maybe around 200 rupees, less than 200 running meter, then that suffice. Okay, and again, that depends upon the type of precast as well, because in case of 2D precast, wall frame or a frame system or wall system, but in case of 3D precast, there the consideration is very different. There you find a lot of paper joints coming up. Okay, so there the cost would be again different.
Okay.
If the cost in the PPVC would be less, that is prefabricated, pre-finished volumetric construction, the cost would be less.
Okay. So on an average, if we just consider, say, there is a vertical wall panel to wall panel joint, and which is having a grouted connection, and we are just putting this sealant as some additional defense, then even this 100 to 200 rupees per meter should be good enough. You need to say that as a
Yes.
figure.
Yeah, but this does not include sometimes the cost of scaffolding, because in case of high rise, he may have to go for a boom lift. Okay, so that also important parameter is also how the sealant application is done, whether the scaffolding is provided by the contractor or the contractor has to get the special scaffolding done.
Okay. And can you throw more light on testing of these sealants? You just mentioned some sort of water spraying with some pressure. So, what are general norms for that?
Right now, don't remember the code, but it is specified at what pressure the water has to be tested. For example, even if it tested 1 bar pressure, you apply water jet pressure, okay, and they specified at what duration it has to be applied, okay, and then you see for the water ingress from the inside, okay.
Yeah, I think here, I think anyway, I'm going to project my screen also. I think I saw some comment also about some connections. But as far as the testing is concerned, now we have this IS 15916. There is a 2020 version on that. And that version now we have added specific requirement for testing the joints. Actually, that has been incorporated from Singapore. So there is specific pressure. I think 600 liter per minute pressure is noted. How long you have to test it, how many areas. There is even one table, depending on the building height, how many number of levels it has. They specify that the number of locations these joints should be tested. It's not particularly for a sealant. It just talks about the joint, but it gives you number of joints per building, if it's 15 story, if it's 20 story. And so that has now created a basis or a benchmark to expect. This I think Mr. Dhananjay, I think I joined again, and that host privilege has been taken out. I cannot project my screen. If somebody
Just see it. Mr. Pasha, can you see that Mr. Amit is able to share his screen? If he is not given a course status development, how can we make him co-host?
Yeah, so he can say, I think we can continue. I just wanted to show some details what we've been doing. I can come back also.
Amit sir, you can share your.
I think, yeah, it's done now. Hold on 1 minute.
I think in between, once your
Right,
connection got
I had to
disconnected, so
log, right, correct. I have to join back again. So just quickly, I think 4 5 only. I won't take much time, but since the crowd is there,
no,
who's
no. In fact,
interested.
you should elaborate more so that people will be interested in understanding the points which you are making.
So yeah, we were talking about live. I think you can see my screen now.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Amit.
Right. So this building is it's not our building, not L&T's building. 27-story tall building. I don't know. Not many people know about it. We did not know until 2016. Honestly, until then, we used to roam around saying we have built the tallest precast building in India, but ours is 23-story only. But this building has been standing there since 1972. Total precast building. Shirish Patel and Associate built this building. 45 years right next to the sea, Nepean Sea Road. Each flat is about more than 15-16 crore now. It's been in existence. People are using it. They have been maintaining it. They have issues, joint here, facade there, right at the sea coast, lot of rain. They have treated it, but building is in use. So if somebody has issues, it's right in zone 3 Mumbai, it has seen its fair amount of shaking also, if not full earthquake. So that life durability, if you work at it, there is a paper also by Shirish Patel. If somebody is interested, look it up. It's amazing at that 1972's how they built this building, what kind of tests, full scale tests they did, whole setup. The cranes they hired and bought. It's a very interesting idea. Then this is our building where everything started around the joints. This is the building in Mumbai what we built, ground plus 23-story tall total precast building. But see this joint, one of the first ideas was, okay, this is a one like an open elevation. It's fully exposed to rain at that side. There are no projections inside. If you see this areas, if you see my pointer, let me turn on my laser pointer. Yeah, so these are the windows and all which were detailed to be inset. But if this one elevation, if you see, it's fully exposed, there is no inset or anything, so you can't escape your rain. So what we said, okay, we're just going to physically protect it. So we built this band. So if you want to look at this, there was like a physical barrier. So water has to really climb up to get inside, right? Some architects like it, some don't. So the bands actually went well. Now when you see the finished building, it just looks like a painted band. But some architects don't like. Then we have transitioned into this step up joint inside. So again, the whole idea is water shall not climb up to get inside the building. Then this is what that joint treatment, what I was calling out, where once you do, you have your sealant, let's say your backer rod, let's say your grout, and then you do your additional waterproofing treatment, whether it's an interior wall or exterior wall. And then we are actually flooding these rooms, not everywhere, but we are at somewhere around 5 to 10% now. And then we address it as case by case basis, if the issues that we have. But this is the data that I have, what I was mentioning, that when I see 10% of the issues, and in now recent years, I'm just seeing about 1 to 2% of the issues. This is the external joint. So this we actually adopted in that time, 2014-15 period, from the Singapore code. But we are actually simulating this rain and then using those guidelines with the pressure amount of time, and then evaluating these joints. Like I said, now this same requirement is built into this IS 15916 now. So, yeah.
So basically, this even I was also not aware about this 27-story profit hall building.
That's right.
And are they not facing any issues of replacing the sealants or replacing the joint treatment that was done 43 years back?
Yeah, they are. Like I said, there are issues. They have even covered up some of the joints, some of the elevations and all. But the point I wanted to drive is it's not like the building has been. Most people, I think, when we start discussing, the whole mindset is, oh, precast building means it's going to leak, and 10 years down the line you're going to abandon the building. This building is in full use. They're doing their fair share of maintenance, like all other buildings. 45 years, building is occupied, flats are selling, very prime real estate area. It works. You just have to provide attention to details.
So, and another point, what always many people keep asking is like, what should be the SOP to the society or to the end user when we hand over any precast building to them with related to the joint treatment. So, do we need to specify something for them? Like, do we need to have some guidelines prepared for them that they should uh, have this type of treatment done on the building maybe uh, after 20 years, after 10 years, or after 50 years, something like that?
Yeah, from my side again, I think that nominal maintenance. I think Ritesh mentioned that 1/5 of the year. That seems like reasonable. We usually say 1 year, but I know myself that that 1 year is not happening. So that 1/5 time seems fair. But that is really up to the client. I think we have other bigger worries of making changes, modifications in the RC buildings or precast buildings that we focus more on. As far as coming to the joint and waterproofing, I don't think we have anything specific except this external maintenance. And if you see something wrong, just attend it. That is probably more important than anything else we have seen. Now we go to our past projects, forget precast, but RC buildings also. And obvious problems that could have been easily attended for 1 rupee are just left to rot. And then we spend 1,000 rupees repairing those problems 10 years down the line. So that awareness, concrete works beautifully if you take care of it and attend to it. Right? If you see cracks, you seal it. Don't let the moisture get in. By the time we get called on, we see the reinforcement fully rusted, blown, pushing pressure on concrete, and there is extremely expensive repairs to do that. So for societies, I hope they take that seriously. Every 4 or 5 years, do a diligent. You hire agencies, let them come inspect it, and follow those repair guidelines.
Then there is one question to Mr. Ritesh Singh about some generalized costing about grouts. Like if we go for nursery grout, say Sita has got nursery grout of Sita grout 2 and 4. So what should be the generalized cost for that? Somebody is asking whether what would be the square foot cost, but may not be square foot. You can give some insight on what should be the generalized costing of this non-steam grout.
Dhananjay, I have not figured out the per running meter cost. Again, that would depend upon the dimension of it.
Yeah. It would be maybe in cube basis or some generalized costing like.
Generally, the normal grout, one can say less than 15 rupees a kilo or 12 rupees a kilo is available in the market. Okay, this is normal grout. Again, this is for your wet joint and this is for your grouted duct connection. But if it comes for the spliced duct connection, then the grout wood costing would be on higher side. That the requirement would be, again, the strength would be more than 100. Okay, so the cost would be on higher side.
So in general, we can say that if we have to grout a wall-to-wall type of vertical joint, maybe general grout which has got around 40-50 MPa strength can cost around 15 rupees a kg.
Yeah.
Mr. Nagaraj, there is one question for you about what should be the practice for if suppose there is a large landscape podium which needs some time back you addressed that also, but what should be normally the better alternative for landscape podium waterproofing?
Yeah, alternate for landscape waterproofing is apart from the giant treatments, then selection of waterproofing system. There are two kinds of waterproofing systems which are available now. Considering precast construction, where there will be a movement expected in the joints, and if it is a large area, there will be a thermal expansion and contraction. Keeping this thing in consideration, ideally we need to look at a product waterproofing system which has got very good elongation properties, very good tensile strength, and the durability, bond strength to the concrete. So these are some of the things. And if it is a landscape, then root resistance and chemical resistance. So based on this, we can look at two systems. One is polyurethane system. The other one is polyurea system. So polyurea is an improved version of polyurethane, where your some of the properties and the durability has been enhanced by modification to the polyurea systems. So these are the two systems. Normally polyurea, the life expectancy is very, very high. At least there are based on pure polyurea or hybrid polyurea. Pure polyurea can give you a life of at least minimum 50 years without any issues, and it is not deteriorable unless there is some physical damage to it. Nothing will happen to the system, and it has got almost 300% elongation, very good tensile strength, tensile adhesion to the concrete. It can very well accommodate the movement, chemical resistance. These are some of the inbuilt properties of that polyurea system. Polyurethane.
Sorry to interrupt. How much is the general thickness of this polyurea system? Is it like a membrane or?
It is a liquid applied, but it forms a membrane. When it is applied on the concrete substrate, instantly it forms a membrane. Within 19-20 seconds, it forms a membrane. Recommended thickness is about 1.5 mm. At 1.5 mm thickness, all the desired the physical properties we can achieve, including the durability. 1.5 mm thickness. Polyurethane is being applied at about 1.2 mm thickness to 1.5 mm thickness. So more or less 1.5 mm thickness will suffice the requirement for waterproofing. Both are good. Both are good in terms of accommodating the movements, flexible in nature, and keeping durability into consideration. Both the systems are good. But polyurea is a better version of polyurethane. That's all. Is an improved version of polyurethane, having long life expectancy. Indicative cost, if you want me to just express, for polyurea systems are normally applied including installation. I can say material plus installation would cost around, hybrid polyurea would cost around 1,400 rupees, 1,300 rupees per square meter at 1.5 mm thickness. Polyurethane systems will be somewhere around 850 rupees per square meter in indicative cost.
And do we need to have some protective layer on top of this so that it doesn't get damaged?
It has to be, because we will be using, suppose if it is a roof slab, podium slab for service requirements, we will be frequently assessing to protect them from mechanical physical damages. It is better that we go for a protection screed. Otherwise, the polyurethane definitely needs a protection screed on top of that. Polyurea is optional, but on a long-term durability, if you take into consideration, there could be physical damages while people assessing the roof or while using the roof. There could be physical damages. To protect that protection screed, we can go.
So the same thing remains applicable for the terraces as well, right?
Yeah, terraces as well. Podium, definitely you need a protection because there will be a vehicle movement, people movement on top of that. So definitely it cannot be directly exposed to the movements. The podium slab, definitely you need a protection, whether you go for polyurethane systems or polyurea system. But the roof slab is an optional. If there is only limited usage, there is not much of an usage, then it can be kept exposed also. It has got UV resistance properties. But only thing is color is not UV stable, property is UV stable. It can be kept exposed for a longer duration, there is no issues. But if there is any movement expected, medium traffic or the regular traffic is expected on the terrace, then it is advisable to protect it with a screed concrete.
Mr. Amit, there is one question about what are the advanced methods for application of sealants on a high-rise multi-story building? Can you throw some light on that?
I think, yeah, again, Ritesh would be having that expertise. But as far as from the contractor side, what he mentioned also that sequence of work, especially in high-rise construction, we have to wait until we come to the painting stage, because I cannot double dip the staging requirements. There are, let's say, if you are doing a 23-story building, there is nothing that I can do externally except to put this gondola or the platforms. So usually we have been doing that at the end. We wait until you reach the painting stage. The sealant paint being paintable is one of the key concern or key requirement that usually comes from client also. So that's where that PU gets that advantage. And then just before painting, this activity is done and then concluded. Now, again, if I have to come back, the buildings that we are constructing now, before they get to that painting stage, see at least one rainy season that is there without sealant. That is my opportunity where we are critically reviewing these buildings, making sure that my other line of defenses are working well, and that's the confidence we are building. So people who are doing in this business also, you plan that way, you make sure that you rely on the sealant just to have your peaceful sleep in the night, but make sure that the other agencies are working well too. But yeah, I think expert agencies and all, probably I would leave it that to Ritesh. He's probably the better person to talk about.
Coming to the advanced.
I'll just add up to Amit here. When first rainy season comes, let the joint be bare, open from outside, no sealant applied. Have a survey of those joints done properly. Mark those points on the walls internally to check up. Then do a simple grout, pressure grout on those joints. Then again recheck whether the joints, the treatment is successful or not, and what is the percentage of success, and then may go for further treatment if it is required. That's the right way of dealing with these things.
Coming to the advanced application, that has to be done at the designing state itself. So in US and Australia, you have open drain system where you have a sealant which is applied on the inner side, and then you have a baffle wall which is in between the panel. Okay, now baffle wall act as a rain barrier, and the sealant is protected from UV resistance. So this gives an enhanced life. But for this application, you require a good, knowledgeable applicator, and the cost is again a deterrent. Okay, but the plus point is the sealant maintenance can be done from the inside. Okay, unlike what we see when it is done in the face seal sealant, where you need to have a scaffolding done from the outside. Okay, then in other countries, apart from this, you see the flexible epoxy coming into the picture. Okay, there are many times a demand from the architect that the sealant should not be visible at all. Okay, they try to have the skim coat over it, and it should be totally hidden. Okay, so those things are available currently, available for the customer.
Okay, so basically we need to do some sort of scaffolding to have the sealants in place.
Yes.
Okay.
Because what happens if you're doing face seal? Okay, society. Okay, when they're doing a painting job, okay, they also need to revisit how the sealant is there. Okay, but if you're going for open drain, the sealant maintenance can be done only from the inside, because from the exterior you have a baffle wall, okay, which take care of the rain protection and ensuring water tightness. And then you have a face seal two-stage joints where the sealant is applied both at the outside as well as at the inside.
There is also one question about waterproofing of slabs where there are going to be heavy loads like 65-ton trucks or something like that. So, does it necessarily change our waterproofing system? Say, right now we were talking about polyurea type of system for waterproofing on board slabs. So, does this system changes as per the loading condition, maybe for light vehicles?
Yeah. You are very much right. Actually, as long as the slab is designed to take care of the deflections and the structural movements, waterproofing coating applied on top of it, it can move along with the slab. That is why I was highlighting it. The product should have very good tensile properties, even though when it is under deflection, it should elongate, and when the deflection goes up, it should recover back. The recovery of elongation is very, very important. So a good product with a good elongation and tensile strength can very well accommodate the deflections in the structure, and it can move along with the movements of the structure. That should not be an issue.
Generally, the hollow core slabs or any type of precast element which is provided for these podiums, they have got deflections up to 10 mm or 15 mm at the max.
Yeah.
If they are loaded to the maximum
Yeah.
capacity.
Correct.
So,
See,
will that polyurea be able to take those kinds of deflections?
yeah, it can very well take. See, for example, if I want to say polyurea system has got a elongation of 450% elongation. So even if it takes 10 mm deflection, it can elongate. It can elongate and accommodate the deflection. And when the load is removed, it can recover back to its original volume. So the movement will be along with the slab. So it doesn't. The movements are not independent of the slab. So that's an advantage with these higher end systems. That's why I specifically mentioning these two systems, which are ideal for precast construction, keeping these movements into consider factors. Even polyurethane system, it has got 600% elongation and tensile strength is in almost 2.5 MPa tensile strength. Where there is no landscaping requirement, the polyurethane systems, we can go with polyurethane systems. But the life expectancy between polyurethane and polyurea, the polyurea has got better life expectancy. So that is the main difference.
Okay. Mr. Amit, there is one more question about what type of general issues that were observed in grouting applications or application of sealants and how they are addressed during the construction phase.
Yeah, grouting. See, I think we are discussing non-shrink, non-metallic, flowable. This flowable component has to be looked at really well. Your general QA/QC SOPs, clean joints. A lot of times, if the joint is not clean, let's say there is a construction debris, even if the flowable joint is there, it gets hindered and it's not going to reach all around it. If you again see the outside industry, for this same reason and for this QA/QC, a lot of times you will see that they are actually manually packing the grout after the elements are erected because they don't want to take the chance that the grout has not reached everywhere. But in those systems, there is very few joints that are actually grouted, right? So they can do that effectively. Here, the kind of detailing we are using, 100% of the building is grouted. So it's not efficient to do dry pack or manual pack grout. So flowability is key, and making sure that the joints are clean. Somebody has looked at it before the next panel is erected. Once the panel is erected, you can't do anything. You will not even know if the debris is there. It's very difficult to even track that if the grout has reached everywhere or not. So those your gangs who are erecting, because even your tower in charge is not going to be there all over all the time. So your gang training is key, letting them know that what to look for, make sure that there is path for the grout to reach. There is enough SOP or checklist installed where they know how much to grout, where to stop. If it's not getting fully grouted from one area, go to other side and grout it. That has to be followed. I think grout mixing that comes to my mind is that because most of this factory concrete I'm not worried about because there is batching plant, this is proper processes there. Usually the grout mixing is done at site using baby mixers or hand mixers, and extra level of attention and QA/QC is needed to make sure that the mixing and proportion has been done well. These grouts that what we say, I think we were discussing M100 grout also I'm using, and 16% water versus 15% water is showing me 5 MPa less strength. So you have to be really watchful on that.
And Mr. Ritesh, there is one more question about how to treat the live type of leakages. Suppose there are some leakages to existing retaining wall or type of foundation in the basement. So what type of system, what type of solution should be there for treating live leakages?
Dhananjay, can you repeat again? Your voice was low.
There is a question about how to treat the existing leakages. If suppose over a period of time there is some leakage developed in some retaining wall or some ground slab, then how to treat those? What type of system should we use for that?
In case if it is sealant, most of the companies, they provide methodology how the sealant has to be repaired. Again, it is a task. First of all, the old sealant has to be scrapped. Okay, we have to reach to the concrete level, and again the same procedure as before applying a new sealant has to be repeated actually. So most of the companies provide a detailed SOP and how the sealant has to be repaired with regard to the waterproofing part.
If it is not a sealant, then there is one more option. As Ritesh rightly said, the sealant they can have a proper SOP. If it is apart from sealant, if it is through the slab, ground slab, then there are few grouts available. Few injection grout techniques are available where the live leakages, first you have to inject a water soluble grout, PU grout first, so that this water soluble PU grout reacts with the incoming water and becomes a foam. That foam will provide a barrier for further ingress of water. Then it has to be followed by a pure resin grout. So these are two-stage method. One is grouting with a water soluble grout, followed by a resin grout. So these are the two steps we need to adopt if it is a live leakage through the slabs, apart from expansion joints.
Okay, and Mr. Nagaraj, there is one more question about this best system to arrest the leakages from terrace, which is covered with membrane.
If
to
it is
provide any protective coating to the membranes or
existing, you mean to say existing roof if there is any leakages? If you during new construction, if you go for a proper system, there won't be any leakages. Suppose if there is a leakages in the existing building, then it is again a trial and error method. What we can say is we need to identify the leakage spot from the ceiling. Through the ceiling, we need to, because from the positive side, it is very difficult to identify from where exactly the water is leaking. From the ceiling, we can identify where exactly the water is leaking. That point is very conspicuously visible, of course. So we need to drill a hole exactly at the point of leakage, then do a pressure routing from the negative side. So idea is that if the water is coming from top to the bottom, there is an existing path, established path, which is already available. That we difficult to trace it out from the top. From the bottom, exactly at the leakage point, if we drill a hole and inject, it will follow the same path in the reverse direction, and it sets. When the grout get inside and it sets, it will seal that path. So that's a trial and error method actually to address the leakages in the existing building.
so I think we have more or less covered almost all the topics that we were discussing. Any concluding remark from the panelists? Like, Anand, you want to add something to this?
I would like to sum up a bit of my points. Considering the today's precast industry, the skill set of the available manpower to address the issues should be firstly taken into account. Their training aspects requirements should be also chalked out. Detailing should be such that the work methodologies can be properly, or method statements can be properly chalked on, and the work can be implemented in such a manner that, again, I am coming back, increasingly, my joints should be watertight by themselves. Then taking into consideration the further percentage of leakages or wet spots or whatever, further line of treatment should be done. Secondly, some certain grouts having high initial setting time, cementatious non-shrink material should be actually developed by these companies like Fosrock or Sika or all such people, so that the industry at large can be properly addressed. We are having a lot of options on sealants or tapes or epoxy membrane coatings and all these things. But when it comes to the cement grouts, the options are limited. More majorly, we all rely on GP where we get a higher strength. But then again, it has got its own drawbacks of initial setting and all these things. They should be properly addressed, and the industry should come out with some sort of proper solution to all these issues. Considering our industry question, maybe because 1 lakh houses or 100,000 houses per year or whatever can be the next target, wherein the precast would be taking out major share. That's it from my side. Thank you all. Thank you, Organised.
Amit, would you like to add some concluding remarks?
Yeah, one thing I think we have not specifically discussed, but this is a good opportunity and platform. It's an industry transitioning issue. We have been facing this for long, but hope 10 years down the line this will come. Where the current industry stands, forget the cast in place or precast. We are only looking at today, and then we are not looking at that life 365, how much money you are spending in maintaining these buildings, how much amount of work going in man hours or cost. Right now, if you tell me that your system costs same as what I'm doing, then I'm willing to look at the benefits. If it's costing little more expensive, I am not interested. And I get this from our own. We have L&T Realty also. If it's costing 1 rupee per square foot more, you are not there. You walk out, you come back. Hopefully that has to change, because that life 365, if you see again US industry now, that whole, including the Monte Carlo simulations, probabilities, how much money you are spending down the lines for, because you are expecting your buildings to stay there for 50 years. We are only looking at today's cost. And hopefully that transition happens from the client side or from government side. It has to be a top driven aspect. As a contractor, I am not going to spend my own money to do that, for sure. So hopefully that comes, that message is given. This is a good platform. ICA has to give that message also. Like I said, independent of precast or conventional. Once we get that, automatically systems will evolve, quality will improve. We will be able to deliver better product for 50 years than just handing it over and then you take care of it later.
So, in all, what we can say is like we have to look at this as not a very isolated problem. It has to be looked to totality.
Right.
When it comes to treatment of the joint, like
Good.
just the present cost, but the entire cost of the joint, entire cost of the water tightness
Right.
in the lifetime of the structure. So I think that is all from this panelist discussions. So I would like to hand it over to Ramesh Hardas, I think for vote of thanks and for
Yeah, we had a very wonderful discussion, and I think everyone wishes that this discussion goes on in more details, and the question that we are seeing in person and to everyone, that more and more discussions of this sort for precast concrete industry should happen. And we are doing this kind of discussions going forward every month. And we will have experts in the panels like we had today, and they would be discussing issues. As for about this water related issue with precast concrete, we will be taking this up in greater details in SimCon 2021 that would be held on 10th and 11th December. So mark these days, 10th and 11th December 2021, Friday and Saturday. And this would be in person in Pune, and it would be also online. We have kept it in both the modes. The reason being that we are not sure what the government guidelines would be at that time. But this would be both in person and online. And of course, all government guidelines would be followed, like fully vaccinated people will be only allowed inside the auditorium. There would be exhibits and everything. SIMCON has been discussing only about the practical aspects. We don't discuss a lot of theoretical aspects. We discuss what is needed today on site and the problem that the industry faces every day. So this year's SIMCON is specifically for precast concrete industry, and we want to discuss a lot of good topics here related to, we have done a survey and people want topic like cost comparison of precast concrete, how to overcome the investment and upfront cost challenges if you want to set up a precast plant. What are the different kind of precast plant that you can set up and where they can, where they are used, how we use lightweight concrete, hollow cores and other stuff to make the building economical. State of the art, what's going on in the world and where we are and where we have to go from today. And a lot of stuff related to cost and right precast system selection, building information modeling, why it is important, because like we said, the devil is in the detail and you need an eye for detail to cut your cost. So BIM is very important in precast concrete. If anything size, anything goes wrong, the thing won't fit and actually you spend a lot more money than you would have spent actually doing a BIM job, hiring a BIM consultant and getting it done. So sometimes that is a lot more cheaper than making errors and then trying to rectify them on site. There are a lot of planning aspects that were discussed in SIMCON 2021 and about cranes, and there are a lot of topics. And I would really thank all the experts who came today for the panel discussion. Ritesh Singh, then Amit Barde, Anand Gosavi, and B.S. Nagaraj, and they're given very valuable information. And I expect that this thing is carried forward in SIMCON if we get better case studies, better details on screen so that we understand actually how it is done, what are the different cost aspects, and of course, will this make the building more expensive? So all these things are what we think that they would be taken care in SIMCON 21.
Yeah, Mr. Mangesh, this is Vishnu from my home group in Hyderabad. So is it fixed December 9th and 10th, these 2 dates?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hope you will circulate emails to all the participants today.
Yeah, yes, we would, as we get the flyers done, we would circulate all that. All the material would be there in today's participants as well as on different communities that we have on WhatsApp and other groups. And that would be done. Yeah, thank you. So I would like to thank all the panelists, and I would like to thank Mr. Manjunath Ramchandran ICI Pune Bangalore Center for taking the initiative and having this event done along with ICI Pune Center. I would like to thank Ujjwal Gunte and Prasad Sevekari from ICI Pune Center for making this thing happen, and all the SIMCON 21 organizing committee members for selecting the topics, for making the questions available, and for the discussion that was done today and making a guidelines for that. So that is my formal vote of thanks, and see you in next month about the same time, the last Saturday of the month, taking another topic for precast concrete. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Enjoyed it. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. It was a very fruitful discussion, almost 2 hours, 40 minutes. Like a lot of issues were there in the giant precast industry.
Excellent.
Joint ceiling, waterproofing, and it has been really addressed by all the panelists. So we look forward many more program along with ICI Pune Center. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.